People who love plants have these rare personality traits. Have you ever noticed how some people walk past plants without even looking at them, while others stop, take a closer look, and somehow feel connected to them? They don't just see leaves and flowers, they see life quietly unfolding. If you genuinely love plants, this video isn't really about gardening. It's about who you might be beneath the surface. Because people who feel deeply connected to plants often share certain personality tendencies: patience, sensitivity, observation, emotional depth, and a quiet ability to care without needing recognition. And you may recognize yourself in more of these traits than you expect. 1. You feel before you speak. Plant lovers often notice subtle things. You may sense tension in a room before anyone says anything. You notice changes in someone's tone, facial expression, or energy. Just as plants respond to changes in light, temperature, and their surroundings, you may be highly aware of your environment. This isn't necessarily weakness or being too sensitive. It can reflect strong emotional awareness, the ability to notice details that other people overlook. 2. You understand that growth takes time. Modern life constantly tells us to move faster, but plants teach a different lesson. Roots develop before they become visible. New growth can happen beneath the surface, long before anyone notices it. If you love plants, you may naturally understand that progress doesn't always look dramatic. You can tolerate periods when nothing seems to be happening because you know that something may still be developing underneath. That mindset can make you more patient during difficult periods of life. 3. You give care without needing applause. A plant doesn't congratulate you for watering it. It doesn't compliment you for remembering its sunlight requirements, yet you still care for it. That can reflect something important about your personality. You may be motivated by meaning rather than recognition. You don't always need someone to notice what you do. You simply enjoy knowing that something is healthier because you cared for it. 4. Silence feels comfortable. Some people need constant noise, conversation, and stimulation. You may be different. A quiet morning, soft sunlight, an empty room, and the presence of your plants may feel deeply restorative. This doesn't necessarily mean you're antisocial. You may simply prefer meaningful interaction over constant stimulation. You don't need a crowded room to feel alive. Sometimes you feel most like yourself when everything becomes quiet. 5. You accept impermanence. If you've cared for plants long enough, you've probably experienced the loss of one. Leaves fall, flowers fade, plants sometimes die despite your best efforts. And eventually, plants teach you something humans often struggle to accept. Nothing stays exactly the same forever. This can influence how you deal with change and loss. You may still feel things deeply, but you understand that endings don't erase the value of what existed. Sometimes the beauty is in appreciating something while it's here. 6. You have quiet, emotional independence. Plants require consistency, not constant emotional drama. They don't need you to be in a particular mood. They simply need care. That routine can encourage a sense of emotional independence. You may enjoy relationships deeply without needing constant reassurance from other people. Being alone doesn't necessarily mean feeling abandoned. You can spend time with yourself and still feel connected to life. 7. You see beauty in imperfection. A leaf with a small hole doesn't automatically become ugly. A crooked stem can still be beautiful. Uneven growth can still be growth. Plant lovers often become comfortable with imperfection because nature constantly demonstrates that beauty doesn't require flawlessness. You may carry that attitude into your relationships too. Instead of expecting people to be perfect, you may appreciate their individuality, mistakes, and imperfections. 8. You're extremely observant. You might notice when a leaf changes color before anyone else does. You notice dry soil, unusual growth, a new bud, or a subtle change in the plant's appearance. That attention to detail can extend beyond plants. You may notice body language, pauses in conversations, changes in someone's mood, or things people don't say directly. Sometimes this can be exhausting, but it can also make you the person others feel genuinely understood by. 9. You have quiet hope. One of the most beautiful things about caring for plants is what happens after failure. A plant dies. You grieve it. Then, eventually, you plant something again. That's a special kind of optimism. It's not loud or unrealistic. It's the belief that something new can grow even after something old has ended. You understand the cycle: loss, recovery, growth, life. And that understanding can create a quiet form of hope. 10. You have a deep inner world. Taking care of plants can become a ritual. Watering them, cleaning their leaves, moving them toward the sunlight, checking their soil. And during these quiet moments, you may find yourself thinking about your own life, your choices, your relationships, your past, your future. You aren't necessarily disconnected from the world. You may simply have a rich internal world that you spend time exploring. 11. You prefer stability over drama. You probably don't need constant excitement to feel fulfilled. You may prefer peaceful routines, emotional safety, consistency, and genuine connection. Just like plants don't thrive because you suddenly give them extreme amounts of attention, healthy relationships usually aren't built on intensity alone. They're built through consistency, and you may value that more than dramatic displays of affection. 12. You know how to create calm. When you're stressed, you may naturally move toward things that make you feel grounded, and plants can provide exactly that. Their presence can encourage you to slow down, breathe, and pay attention to the present moment. Your plants aren't just decoration. They may become part of the environment that helps you feel settled. 13. You respect boundaries. Plants teach boundaries in a very practical way. Too much water can be harmful. Too little water can also be harmful. Too much sunlight can damage some plants, while too little can weaken them. You may understand that healthy relationships work similarly. Caring about someone doesn't mean controlling them. Love doesn't require constant access. Sometimes giving someone space is another form of care. 14. You don't compare your growth to everyone else. Every plant has its own rhythm. One grows quickly, another takes months. One blooms repeatedly, another may need years. If you love plants, you may naturally understand that people work the same way. Someone else's progress doesn't mean you're falling behind. Your timeline is your own. And understanding that can protect you from unnecessary comparison, envy, and self-criticism. 15. You trust the process. Perhaps the deepest lesson plants teach is simple. You can't force growth. You can prepare the soil, you can provide water, you can provide light, you can protect the plant, but you cannot command it to grow faster. The same is true in life. You can do your part, but some things require time. Relationships require time. Healing requires time. Personal growth requires time. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is continue caring even when you can't see the results yet. So if you love plants, maybe there's a reason they feel so meaningful to you. Maybe you recognize something familiar in them. their patience, their quiet resilience, their ability to keep growing without needing an audience, their acceptance of seasons, their need for care without demanding attention. And perhaps that is what makes plant lovers different. You may not be the loudest person in the room. You may not need constant attention. You may not always explain what you're feeling. But beneath the surface, there may be a world of patience, observation, empathy, and quiet strength. You're not necessarily growing slowly. You're growing deeply. And just like a plant, some of the most important growth may be happening where nobody else can see it, because roots are invisible. But they are what make everything above the surface possible. So if you love plants, don't think of that love as just a hobby. Maybe it's a reflection of something inside you, a reminder that life doesn't have to be rushed, that care doesn't always need recognition, that imperfections can still be beautiful, and that even after something withers, new growth can begin. The world may celebrate what grows quickly, but nature reminds us that what grows slowly can become the strongest thing of all.